Reach and relevancy, bridging the gap between online and offline. Can it be done when working on an integrated channel strategy? Should you be choosing both? Should you be choosing either or? Let's talk about it. Now, what would a media geek slide be without a couple of graphs? But I promise you, I've got some pretty pictures in there as well. But let's look at the state of affairs when it comes to the media landscape. TV is still the highest reaching medium in South Africa. Due to contrary belief, TV is not dead. Free-to-air is actually still being watched and continuing to grow. So no, not every single South African is on demand. In fact, it's something that we are taking a consideration in of how the online and the offline space can work together and actually be friends. But it's important to note the growths in some channels. Of course, it was pandemic, so we grew in digital spend, and we ultimately grew in digital engagement. But what was also interesting was a growth in radio. Now, you probably want to know, so what happened during the pandemic? TV and radio, very stable, but a whopping 61% and 60% respectively in social networking and internet surfing. Of course, we were at home. We had nowhere to go. We had to connect with our peers, our colleagues, our friends, our families on digital channels. But what's important to know is that not all reach is equal. And if you are just merely measuring reach in your integrated channel strategies, we're going to have a chat right now. Now, here's a jarring stat. Television hours grew in consumption. However, the noting or ad recall of TVCs declined 8% over the past 5 years. What is the screaming? It is screaming that perhaps it's not your media agency with their spot plans that are the problem, but what about relevant content? In fact, is the 30 seconds still working? Is the 20 seconds still working? In fact, should you be doing the generic, or should you be looking in avenues of branded content, DBI, incidental branding and sponsorships? Time to reevaluate your channel strategy and the way we use channels. Now, we're attention seekers. We're in advertising, we're in marketing. It's not just our suave looks, our sullen eyes, and our skinny jeans. We're attention seekers. Okay. We're attention seekers for the brands that we represent, and ultimately attention is becoming an important metric when looking at quality reach. Whether you're looking at online spaces, offline spaces, digital versus above the line, marketing channels, in-shop, out-of-store, point of sale, there should be one key goal. And ultimately, I believe this in my heart and my mind. Getting your brand in more places, getting consumers to think about it and considering it in more buying circumstances. It's about mental availability. So it's not that fight between online and offline, digital agencies and above-the-line agencies. We're working together. Or is it? Because some organizations still have separate digital and media teams. We're still briefing our agencies separately, above-the-line agencies and digital agencies. What we've seen, and has seen a positive impact, digital spend has accelerated across the continent and in South Africa, with some brands even spending close to 35 to 40% of their marketing investment in digital. In the recent media reaction survey done by Kantar 2021, it showed that marketers are getting a little bit more confident in this jarring space called digital and getting a bit more comfortable in multimedia or integrated channel strategies. So it's all coming together. We're going to have to play nice. We're going to have to stop the egos. We're going to have to stop this agency versus client, agency versus brand, above the line agency against media agency. And are you still briefing your media agency and CRM agency with the last 5% of your budgets and including them at the tail end of your campaigns? Knowing that we're moving into a cookieless environment and moving into a space where personalization and the single view of consumer is so imperative. And in fact, probably your personalization strategy needs to be at the center of most marketing strategies. Let's show you the importance of digital and the unique reach that digital can also bring you. By every standard, I still firmly believe in traditional channels. And in fact, 48% of global spend still sits in traditional mediums. But it's time to start playing in this area of digital territory. The overlaps of digital have doubled, and unique digital reach has never been higher than before. What does this mean? Digital is reaching audiences that no other channel can. And you've heard it from me, someone that started in above the line. You've heard this from what I'm sometimes known as the TV girl. But you're going to say, Sadika, what about the bottom line? We have to be accountable as marketers. We have to be driving growth, and we need a seat at the table. A recent study done by the Advertising Research Foundation took 5,000 campaigns and looked at 41 different markets and across 1,000 brands to really understand ROI impacts of multi-channel strategies. And the results show for themselves. 19% when you start using 2 channels or more, positive impact, and 35% when you use 5 channels or more. Meaning for every media rand or media dollar that you invest, 35 cents are hitting the bottom line when being totally reliant on a primary channel that yields less. So it brings me to the thought that relevancy leads to reach. Now, let's think about this. Look at the media channels that you consume. Every media channel that you have an affinity to or a love to started from a very special place called relevancy. Let's look at all of the reaching channels. Mzansi Magic. We all turned our eye. Was this channel going to work? Look at it today. Facebook. One of the biggest digital channels globally. Google. And TikTok of late. So it fundamentally means all of these channels started in a space of growing incremental reach to mass-reaching channels. So in actual fact, reach is driven by relevancy. Let's look at a very practical example of my favorite city, Dubai. I think Dubai is a brilliant example of a brilliant brand strategy, but I'm taking it in a different angle. Let's look at Dubai as a media channel. In 1981, annual visitors in Dubai, 374,000. Why? Dubai was a port. It was also known as a sandpit, no offense, Dubai. And it was basically a trade port, and you just had layover flights. Fast forward 2019. Okay, let's just forget 2020, 2021 ever happened. It was a bad dream due to the pandemic. But let's look at 16.7 million visitors annually in Dubai. What shifted? Relevancy. Ultimately, they wanted to make Dubai tourism, the Dubai government wanted to make Dubai very sticky. So they focused on relevancy. They wanted to make their value proposition very sticky to shoppers, holiday makers, families, singles, entrepreneurs, job seekers. And they created unique value propositions around this. Very interesting. Now, the stats speak for themselves. Let's just look at hashtag Dubai. 84.6 billion views on social media, with South Africa at 13.7 billion views. What are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? Now, if you were to use this example of brand Dubai or channel Dubai within your marketing landscape, creating unique value propositions containing absolutely amazing, memorable experiences for those specific tribes or niches you're trying to target, I think it's a brilliant marketing strategy. TikTok provocatively states, relevancy is the new reach. And I must admit, it's really growing on me, and I'm tending to believe this. Now, their algorithm is based on contextual relevancy, and that's how they differentiate themselves. How did they base this philosophy? They placed it and a lot of emphasis on content dissemination and how content has evolved. So let's look at it before 2000. We were in a specific area called the context graph. We were passively just eating the content we were served on TV or radio. We then moved into the search graph, where we started actively searching for the specific information that resonated with us. We then moved 2010 to 2020, the social graph, where we got served content based on the people or the brands that we follow. And now, past 2020, we are in the content graph. We will choose what content we serve. The consumer will choose what content that they consume. So it's all about resonance and contextual placement. Now, I must admit, I'm fascinated with TikTok, and this hashtag, TikTok, made me buy it, at a whopping 16.4 billion views. If you are passionate about e-commerce, get onto that hashtag. If you're passionate about selling your product or service, this is a case point example of something so simple, authentic creative content driving sales, and weird headlines that we've never seen before in our industry of can't find feta cheese? Blame TikTok. Who didn't jump onto the feta pasta trend? I personally got really excited about this trend, and it's something that we can take back to the office. Of course, you know I represent Tiger Brands, and of course, Fatties and Moni's definitely jumped onto this trend. And what did we do? We partnered with Foodies of SA and started in a place of relevancy. We were agile, we were tactical, we saw the trend growing, and we created content that was relevant to the consumer around this. And what did it do? It boosted our reach, it boosted our engagement, and ultimately it impacted our bottom line positively. So bringing it all back together, what do we need to do? Our communication and channel strategies must be relevant. Gone are the days of media people bringing in schedules and stopping there. Creative and channel need to come together into making an impactful difference in your marketing mix. Content needs to be cultural and local. 59% of consumers want localized content. It needs to be topical. Is your social listening team within your team? Are you doing agile checks on what's trending daily? Are you doing tactical campaigns based on what is topical in the social space? It needs to be cause-related and purposeful. We need to make positive difference in the communities that we represent. And it needs to be entertaining and educational. 71% of consumers don't mind advertising if it's entertaining and educates me. Now you're going, I'm inspired, but how do I operationalize? This is going to be hectic. Don't worry, your media and digital mama's got you. I've got 5 practical tips on getting this operationalized. We've hit the end game. We need to play nice. Time to drop the egos and drive toward one common goal, agency and brand and multiple agency partners and specialist agencies. We need to be driving integrated marketing communication. Now, it's also time to review and adjust your roles, your processes, and ultimately your operating models. I look at my role at Tiger Brands. The role didn't exist 20 years ago. What's going to happen in the next 20 years? I also would like to reiterate that change is something we cannot run away from, and it's something that we really need to embrace. I look at the roles of driving integrated marketing communications. My role didn't exist, and because of our Chief Marketing Officer really having this vision of driving integrated marketing communications, combined the paid media role into the digital marketing role to create an integrated role. So how are you talking single view of consumer or talking one purchase funnel if your teams are still separate and operating in silos? So it's critical that there's an integrated campaign management process and that your digital and your media teams at least are playing very nice. There's still some organizations that play one up against the other, and that breeds a toxic environment. You're coming up for your annual planning, so it's time to embrace multi-channel mixing. Give the agency teams the benefit of the doubt to come with brilliant ideas across channels and really truly embracing the bought, owned, and earned ecosystem. Not just to focus on paid, but understanding your owned assets are critical. Your websites, your first-party database, your staff, your branches, your shops, your gondola ends are all considered channels. And are you considering that in your channel mix? And ultimately, earned media is critical. You need to test and learn. Now more than ever, marketing mix modeling becomes really important to bring that ROI into the bottom line. We need to be driving return on investment, but driving creative excellence across the channels. Create fit-for-purpose channels, and ultimately, what are we looking for? We need to build the capability. Where there's a skills gap, let's build the capability. Partner with our agency partners. They do know creative. Partner with our media partners, our digital partners, and get skilled up from that. What does this come at? It comes at changing behavior. It's difficult. We can fly the plane whilst building it. It's going to take some heart. It's going to take some courage, but it can be done. But it's time to really know that together we can create absolute greatness. Thank you.